All right, good evening. It is 5:05 p.m. on Monday, October 16th. I call to order the regular meeting of the Lancaster Select Board. Reminder to folks, when we are in public meeting, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on Sterling-Lancaster Community Television. I will do a roll call vote of the Select Board. Ms. Turner?
Here.
Mr. Kerrigan? Here, and Mr. Allison will be here in about 25 minutes. But we do have a quorum in which to conduct business. So is there a motion at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to offer a motion to meet in executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for the following purpose. Purpose 3, to conduct a strategy session in conjunction with the members of the Board of Public Works, the Town Administrator, the DPW Superintendent, to prepare for negotiations with AFSCME Local 3720 and the DPW Union. Is that correct?
Second? All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So we will be going into executive session. Sterling Lancaster TV, we'll see you later. We'll let you. Okay, we are now in motion to adjourn. Executive session has been made. We are out of executive session. We are now back in public session. Welcome back.
I just hired her. She's
Hi, Chief.
Hello, Mr. Perry.
How are you?
You all right?
Yeah. Can't be.
Yeah, all right.
Hello. Okay.
We'll make sure we get that.
All right. All right.
I just chased it. I didn't see it forever.
I haven't had any fires in my backyard.
Yeah. I didn't see you right.
We're back in session now. Open meeting. All right. So we have concluded our executive session. Now we are back in open session. The next, let the record reflect that during executive session, Mr. Allison joined the select board in our conversation. And so the roll call is complete with all three of us being present. Reminder to folks that we do record these, and it is being recorded and broadcast by Sterling-Lancaster TV. Next item on our agenda is item 3, which is approval of the meeting minutes from September 18th, which were tabled from the 10-2 meeting.
I would offer a motion to approve the minutes of September 18th, 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Allison? Aye. Mr. Kerrigan? Aye. The minutes are approved. Boards, committees, and department reports. Well, I'm going to run through the agenda. Okay, we'll keep chugging along. Government Study Committee discussion, overview, timeline, charge, priorities, membership. As the former chair now of the Government Study Committee, my one bit of reflection before I yield to my colleagues is the committee was formed at a town meeting for the express purpose of answering the question of whether or not the town should enter into a charter commission. Did great work and does great work benchmarking. We have a survey that is out. We encourage everybody in town to fill out the survey if they could. But that is the charge of the committee, in my estimation, is to make that determination and make a recommendation. And I see one of the members of the committee here tonight. Thank you, David. And to make that recommendation. Now then the Charter Commission, should they recommend a Charter Commission, that Charter Commission can then opine on all kinds of aspects of town government and then make recommendations to the town as a whole at town meeting. But the remaining purpose seems to be to go through the survey and make a recommendation one way or the other. But I turn to my colleague, Mr. Allison, who replaced me although they haven't scheduled a meeting yet, replace me as the select board designee on the committee.
Yeah, there's been a number of resignations
Yes.
from the committee.
Including one more tonight?
My observation through kind of catching up with reasons and people is that maybe the tenor of the committee, maybe some of the folks on the committee are not everyone is enjoying being on the committee. And my thought, like, when I think about participating in the committee, I have concerns about how my statements may be reflected or I'll go as far as to say is to weaponized in social media. And I just have some general concerns about participation in the committee. I don't want to cast blame. I just want to say that's my opinion. So I want to kind of throw it back to this board and just say, are we satisfied with the committee and its current makeup? Do we have any concerns with kind of how we originally populated it? I can just say that as of today, I'm having second thoughts about participating in the committee. I haven't had, it hasn't always been enjoyable when my name gets attributed to, to certain individuals' social media posts. So I wanted to be part of this committee to help further Lancaster, but I just have some concerns right now over how that may. I'm dancing a little bit here. I'm just trying.
No,
to
it's quite all right. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be overly mean.
Yeah. Do you have any comments, thoughts? I have many, but.
No, your recap was good. And I think I understand that this was we had the initial charge in our packet, so I appreciate that, thank you. And the time frame was supposed to be tight. Since the committee is partway through that charge, I think this should be a fairly expeditious process. The other thing is maybe to help put aside some of your fears, Jason, I was reading the reporting structure, 9 members, which we can reduce if we need to, or we can leave alone because the
I don't know if we
resignations.
can, wasn't it a town meeting?
Yeah, if it was
That's
a town
true.
meeting, we cannot.
Yeah, I don't think we can reduce the number.
It said, a member of the select board shall serve on the committee as a liaison, but shall not have voting rights.
Yeah.
So hopefully you will not be subject to, you'll express the board's opinions, your opinions, but hopefully it will not be as contentious. I think it's that. And the mission, I won't reread it, but it's, I think, a little bit broader than just a charter, based on the mission that we initially said, which is fine, but its focus is on the charter.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
So-
after 370 years of running a town on code and bylaws, the overall question is, do we want
Right.
a larger guiding document
Right.
like a charter to
And then
guide our
there's
town?
the other comprehensive document that Kate also returned to our packet from last time. So I understand and why you would be taking over and doing it. What are the next steps? Do we
Steve has
solicit?
some discussion.
Yeah. I have some significant concerns, but I think there are some next steps that we can take, and then we can go from.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about it next time. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the way. It sounds like, according to the charge there, I'm not, the select board person is not voting. So it sounds like it's not, I'm not blocking the committee from any work. Honestly, I'm having second thoughts about it. I really am. I went through kind of some of the
Recording in progress.
information.
You gotta say all that again.
We got Sterling-Lancaster.
Thank God,
TV.
Sterling-Lancaster TV, belt and
So
suspenders.
I'm having second thoughts.
Yeah.
And
Which is totally fair, and I felt bad because when I served on the committee, and since its inception, and we did good work. It was slower, as Ailey's pointed out, than I think we would have wanted to. There has been a lot of, I don't know how many meetings we had that we didn't have a quorum. I'm only looking at the chiefs because they're non-voting members on the committee as well. And so it took a while. I think the survey is great that is out there right now. But I think ultimately the question that needs to be answered is, do we want to make a recommendation, we the committee, make a recommendation to this board and by extension to the town to continue as we move or to have a charter and then establish a charter commission. I feel like some members, and I don't want to ascribe motives, but I feel like some members of the committee have wanted to sort of think through that next phase, which is great and is helpful, but it's not the charge of this committee as it's created right now. And so I will endeavor to have some conversations with some of the committee members and try to see where we're heading. And I think if we can tighten it up and move it, I'm again looking, I've got a lot of members of the committee right in front of me. If we can tighten it up and move quickly on a recommendation one way or the other, then we'll do it. But I can report back at the next meeting.
Well, so the mission, I guess it bears to read the mission again. The committee's mission surrounds the need for the town to review the efficacy of Lancaster's current form of government and organizational structure. Additionally, the committee will recommend changes to Lancaster's form of government and operations as necessary to best reflect and assure effective and equitable town management policy adherence and timely and consistent delivery of excellent public service.
Yes.
So that's what you've been doing, isn't it? I mean, what we expect, I don't.
Right, but in essence, that what it comes down to is, are we going to continue the structure the way we have it, or change the structure to create a charter commission that will then move from bylaws and rules that are in a binder this big to more codified?
So when I talked about the change in numbers, you reminded me that would have to return to town meeting, and is that what your suggestion?
So what was voted at town meeting was this board would receive a recommendation from the committee, and then if it's never mind, we're good, then it leaves there. If it is something other than, then this board would bring, if they say they want to create a charter commission, we would bring that to the town meeting at an annual town meeting, I think it has to happen, to create the charter commission and appoint charter commissioners, and then they will begin that process.
The other thing is to consider is if people have a strong interest in a charter, because I had signatures from before, is people can do a charter, which is actually somewhat easier.
I don't want to muddy the water for
signatures.
people paying attention. Yes, the public is the ultimate boss. They can,
Well, no, they can collect
They
300 signatures, I think.
they absolutely can, but this agenda item is talking about the committee that's been tasked with that mission. If you seem very passionate about it, if you'd like to take Jason's spot, we could take care of the whole thing right now.
Jason's very passionate about this.
I-
At least that's what I heard last time.
I just said, I was, and
I
then
know.
I started reviewing some materials, and
It's a man's
I'm
prerogative
not
to
sure I'm
change
the
his
right fit for that committee.
persons.
What's that?
I said, I'm not sure I'm the right fit for that committee.
If you'd like, we could put you on the committee. You've got the freight work already, which I know is a lot.
I would
a
like to
heavy
mo- I would
load.
like to make a motion to appoint Alex Turner to the government subcommittee.
Well,
Yeah,
we already-
fantastic.
It's
Second?
already full right now.
No, not the select board's designee.
Okay, we can
It's been
discuss
moved and
this.
seconded. Is there any discussion?
We can discuss this at the next meeting, right now?
It's up to you. No, I mean, look, I don't have any ego
Why
in
don't
this.
we table the topic, we'll withdraw the, I'll ask you to
Withdraw
withdraw
my-
the motion.
withdraw my
And then
motion.
I'll have some conversations and we'll circle back prior to the next meeting. All right. Next item, which I suspect, I don't know, I can't read people that much, but when there's a room full of people in front of me and public comments coming up, I'm assuming you're all here not to hear about the application for the use of the town gazebo. It's later on the agenda.
We have a gazebo?
We do, I know, don't even get me started on the gazebo.
Did you say gazebo?
I did say gazebo, I feel like there isn't? Oh, where is it? I don't have that.
I think I have an old version.
I thought I pulled
No,
the
I pulled
updated
I
one.
pulled the latest one up.
I pulled
just
the latest
now.
one too. If you want to show it to me, I'll,
It's amended.
What is it?
I don't know, we're about to find
It's not
out.
on
The
the
mystery.
version.
Well, I think it's good.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, one more, sorry. Hold your fire. To discuss the, I'm gonna say it out loud, you don't have to read it if you don't want. The strategic master plan, discuss merits and appetite for select board liaison to the planning board for process. There you go.
So we put out the strategic master plan RFP, and now that Brian Keating is 2 weeks into his tenure here, he has met with the consultant, and one of the things that we're doing for the strategic master plan update is a pretty robust community feed, and usually this is spearheaded by the planning board, which is great, and I know that he's been talking to Chairman Streeter about that, but oftentimes it's helpful to have a select board liaison to the strategic master plan, so I was hoping, one, to see if you all wanted to have a liaison to that, and then two, if you could let me know who you think that might be, so I can give that information to the consultant.
Do we have time between now and the next meeting? Or would you rather that information prior to?
I think the consultant is chomping at the bit, whether they have a meeting, like a kickoff meeting, and then, you tell me at the next meeting is 100% your call, so.
I asked my colleagues to ruminate on it between now and the end of the meeting. And then
So I know how I feel about it right now. I don't think the select board should assign a liaison, and we should put that on the feet of our brand-new planning director.
Okay.
That would be my opinion.
So, I know we were going to issue an RFP. Did we have multiple consultants and some sort of a community-based selection for the consultants, or?
So, we had 3 consultants, one of which stood out from the rest, but there was also some things that we asked for in the RFP that weren't received, so, and the grading for that really went by the things that we sort of wrote out, which is familiarity with in communities that are similar to Lancaster, having done a process that had a robust public comment and forward-facing kind of thing, and then the ability to sort of design a website around it, et cetera, et cetera. And so we only had one consultant who did all of those things and checked all the boxes, so that made the determination pretty easy. But then I had a lovely conversation with him, and I know Brian Keating has been talking to them as well, and they the work that they've done for other communities is great. It's not just a boilerplate master plan. There really is a lot of community input, a lot of discussion with the planning board, which is great, and ZBA and conservation and the other planning compartments of the town, and I think you'll be very pleased.
So drum roll, are we allowed to say who the consultant are they on board?
Is Brian?
I don't see him. While we're looking for Brian or waiting for the drum to roll, do you have an opinion on? I have an opinion, but I don't want to influence the process. Do you have an opinion on whether the select board should ask for a designee on the committee?
I do. I think we should, but it'd be interesting to listen to Jason's reasons why we shouldn't, what your feelings were. It's the master plan, the comprehensive plan is supposed to be the template that drives everything as far as rules, regulations, and interdepartmental cooperation. So yeah, I think we belong at that table. But it is usually initiated by the planning board. It's driven by the planning board, so.
So my question is, I don't think, we don't forego any influence or discussion on the master plan if we're not engaged in this part. Obviously, we can have our voice heard, there'll be plenty of hearings and discussions, yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
I just don't think this board really has anything to contribute. I mean, it's a
Well,
planning
I
director.
do. No, I'm kidding.
It's a planning director, planning board. We all may be backyard planners, but we're not.
I am.
We are not. We don't have resumes for community planning.
Well, so I will break the mystery and tell you that I tend to agree that this is a planning board function, and that I look forward to, both as a select board member and as a citizen, to being part of the master planning process, but I don't feel like it's our role at this early stage, because I honestly sometimes think we could then influence in a way that's not necessarily appropriate, let the experts and those with the subject matter experience be able to guide the ship. So that would be my
So what
vote
I
as well.
think we bring to it, just, is the community building, the team leadership. I sat way back when, we did when?
2007.
In that position, yeah, in that position. So I found that part helpful, but you don't want to step on toes. So can we take it up at the end of the meeting?
We can take it up at the end of the meeting. I will tell you, I don't believe anything's gonna happen. The course of the meeting is gonna change my mind, but we can definitely take it up at the end of the meeting.
So same here, and there's nothing stopping any
Yep.
one of us from joining a planning board meeting
Me,
to,
yeah.
Well,
to
no,
stay in. I just don't think a liaison would be appropriate.
Right.
But anyway,
Yeah, okay.
It's Plan Sustain Incorporated, which we should have remembered.
Yeah.
So, and
Also very catchy.
It's like they were made for it.
it's plansustain.com for the website,
For
so.
those looking.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, just to review, the Supreme Judicial Court said you can say whatever you want. But we get to decide whether we have public comment and how long each of you are allowed to go. I would still like to ask you to be somewhat respectful, but again, Supreme Judicial Court said you can say whatever you want, so we'll just be happy listeners.
2 minutes, right? is what you
I'm
said?
saying, yeah, well, I was just about to tell that. So we go with folks in the room first, and we ask you to come to the podium. You have to be a resident of Lancaster, and state your name and address, and then you get 2 minutes. I will sort of do this when you have about 1 minute. And if you are wrapping up, I'm not gonna, there's no microphone for me to shut you off, so. And then we will go to folks online, same thing, 2 minutes, name and address first. So, who wants to go first? Head up to the microphone. If folks would feel like they can or wish to stand up in line behind there, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to. Huh?
Name and address.
I told them to do name and address. Yeah, I've said that 3 times.
Just in case.
Name and address. Oh, hold on. Let me get my timer out.
Wait.
Wait, don't tell me. Hold on. All right.
Nice shirt.
Well, now I'm gonna start over again. You're not complimented. Sure, go ahead.
Good evening, planning board. My name is Daniel Gill, 48 Squire Shiller Lane. As I'm sure most of you are aware of what recently occurred at the 12 and 13-year-old girls softball team practice a couple weeks back. Happened just prior to practice occurring. I had just arrived there, and they took it upon themselves, the girls did, to start practice and start warming up in left field because this group of girls is hardworking and a group of dedicated individuals. That's why they do what they do. They were warming up in left field, and at about that time, when I had just arrived, I was walking out toward them at the time. One of the girls threw a ball, it was overthrown, it rolled across the driveway. Right about that time, Mr. Gleason arrived home, and he, in a purely dramatic show, slammed on his brakes, waited for the ball to pass, and then stepped on the gas, flying down his driveway. He then exited the vehicle, slamming the door, and unleashed a vile, profanity-laced tirade directed toward my team. Because of the 2-minute time limit, I won't go into exactly what was said, but there was a lot of bombs being thrown. To cut through it, the only reason I think that they can't stand the softball teams and what goes on there is because they decided to build a house that shares a property line with a softball field. You can't build a house next to a railroad crossing and then complain about train noise. I've coached these girls, most of them, more than half of them, since they were in kindergarten. I've never had a single behavioral issue from any of them or anyone or any of the parents on that team. And let me tell you how rare that is as being a coach. I've coached these girls through 14 seasons, and I think.
Time.
Okay.
You have
I
a,
one
you can
quick
finish
thing.
the sentence. I think,
I think if Mr. Gleason had one ethical bone in his body, he would step down from his position on the school committee. But he can't even bring himself to apologize to a group of children, so I don't see that happening.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sheila Millette, 2748 North Main Street, here in Lancaster. I have 3 children in Neshoba School District. I am a football mom, I'm a drama mom, and I'm a softball mom. I was really shocked and sad to hear about Joe Gleason's behavior towards these girls in the field just over a week ago. And part of it is because I feel it's such a pivotal moment for Neshoba School District. We just voted in a high school. We're spending lots of money. And it's not just about money, though. I feel that as an elected official, you do have to be held to a higher standard, especially when dealing with the public that you represent. And he represents our families, he represents our kids. I would not expect my kid to be spoken to the way these girls have been spoken to by a teacher, somebody in the administration, by a coach. I really feel that he needs to take a really strong message here. He hasn't even offered an apology. And it's very sad that he represents us, he represents Lancaster, and my children are not used to this language. I don't want them to be used to this language. That's a poor excuse. I really feel that Mr. Gleason needs to step down as part of our board for the Neshoba schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Linda Apgar, 134 Brockman Road, Lancaster. Thank you. I am here today in regards to the incident that occurred with the softball team and Mr. Gleason on October 4th, 2023. My son's soccer team was practicing on the field adjacent to the softball team, and the incident that occurred was well heard from where we were sitting. The behavior that Mr. Gleason chose to exhibit to these girls and their coaches was irrational, obnoxious, and totally out of line. It was appalling to listen to a grown man choose to speak to young girls and their coaches in such a demeaning manner. I am disturbed by the actions of Mr. Gleason to the core. As a member of the school committee, he should be leading by example, exhibiting core values all the time, and treating people the way he would like to be treated. As a volunteer member of the Board of Health for this town, we essentially vow to do the right thing for the community all the time. Mr. Gleason chose not to do the right thing in this instance by condemning young girls and their coaches for overthrown balls on his property. In addition, I was able to watch the previous select board meeting online and am further appalled that Mr. Gleason and his wife refused to take responsibility for Mr. Gleason's actions and show absolutely no remorse or empathy towards the little humans that were verbally abused. Mr. Gleason and his wife make it clear they do not feel this is a public matter but a personal matter. They stated that Mr. Gleason never left his property, therefore the public should be left out of this and to mind their own business. However, I couldn't disagree more. His words traveled across the land for all to hear, regardless of where he was physically planted. His actions that he chose to exhibit affected several people who are not on his property. Allowing Mr. Gleason to get away with treating people so unkindly shows the people in this town that we can treat people however we please with no consequence. If my kids were to use such language or to speak to someone so unkindly and unfairly, regardless of where they were physically, there would be consequences to their negative behavior. I feel strongly that people need to be held accountable for their actions. They need to take responsibility when they choose to not do the right thing the first time. There need to be consequences for people who choose to make bad decisions.
Thank you. And just to clarify for the public, you said he appeared before the select board. I think you meant the school committee.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to make sure we clarify that.
My apologies.
No, not a problem. Thank you.
Good evening, Jonathan Babineau, 1725 Shirley Road. I'm here to speak on the same topics as everybody else. A simple man would say ditto, ditto, ditto. But I speak as the assistant coach of the team, somebody that was there firsthand and whose daughter was actually verbally assaulted. So in the absence of all we wanted was a sorry that could have solved this, I learned a long time ago to do something by leading by example. So I'm just going to say that I'm sorry that you built a home on a softball field. I'm sorry that when there was a dispute that it wasn't handled through adults communicating instead of one adult cursing out young girls. I'm sorry there was never anything filed or communicated to the town or the softball team that you hated the girls softball team. I'm sorry to bother the board with such an issue, but it's a little too late for I'm sorry, and action now needs to be done. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready?
There you go.
Linnea Servey, 1394 Main Street. I want to say that I think what all these other people said is very important, and the code of conduct for elected, appointed officials should always be foremost, to be truthful, honest, and act in good faith with their responsibilities. And since public comment is before another item on here, I'm here to say again, I would like to have the matter of Heather Lennon being removed, or in effect, it was removed from the Historic Commission. She did not resign, and I brought this to your attention, I think 4 meetings now,
and nothing has happened. No due process. It just does not speak to a good code of conduct and how you're our elected officials. You should be guiding the town. And I just feel you're not acting responsibly, fairly, and transparently.
Thank you. Yep.
Kendra Dickinson, 402 Oatman Way, speaking as a private resident, outside of my capacity in public service. We all have bad days. We all come home and maybe want to punch ourselves in the face in the mirror, or punch somebody else in the face, or swear, or throw a ball of socks, or what have you. But I can probably get on board with folks in town and the feeling that if anybody in an official capacity, whether it's the chief, which I know would never happen, but that's outside the point, or the principal, or you, or a school committee member who we just entrusted with multi-millions of dollars to spend on our children's behalf, our taxpayer money, were to speak to my son in such a manner, he'd be putting me behind bars. Because it is outside the scope of common decency. It is outside the scope of how you conduct yourself in front of children. That your policy decisions and acts inside and outside of your role as a committee member affect. I get a bad day. I'm sorry sometimes I'm grumpy. I'm sorry sometimes I just say things that are off color. But if I were to yell at a child like that, I'd be very sad if I wasn't held to the same standard and had the code of conduct applied to what I just did. Beat your timer.
28 seconds to go. You wish you could bank it, but you can't.
Oh, I can.
Sorry, it's gone now forever, that 28 seconds. All right, sure, go ahead. And then we'll go, if anybody else, when we go to the screen, that doesn't, if you still would love to speak, or like to speak, or want to speak, you can still get in line, we'll still come back to you.
Hi, Emma Mayo. I live at 13 Lee Street. I have a daughter on the softball team. I have a son on the soccer team. I've shared my thoughts about what happened. Obviously, it weighs very heavy on me. I, in short, just think that we as parents should be holding, or as a town, should be holding the adults to the same level that we would hold our children to. I asked my daughter, who's in 8th grade, what would happen if she had that kind of language at school, and she was horrified and thought that she would probably be suspended. So if our children can have that standard for how we should treat each other, I think that we should be holding the other adults in their lives who are supposed to be teaching them to that standard. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anybody else here? We're gonna go to Denise, oh, okay. I feel like I just said Denise's name, so, but we will, but don't go far, because she only has 2 minutes. Denise Hurley, once you're unmuted, there you are.
Am I unmuted? There we go.
Name and address, please, Denise.
Denise Hurley, 102 Bolton Road. I am also the president of the Lancaster Friends of the Seniors. And I just want to say that I want to thank Kate Hodges, Kelly Dolan, and Kate and Roy for all the hard work that they have done for the seniors, a lot of the work that they've done behind the scenes that a lot of people do not know what they do behind the scenes. I know I'm very appreciative. I know the seniors are very appreciative. And I look forward to continuing to work with them, helping people with oil, providing funding for oil, providing help with home taxes, which will be coming up soon. So I just thank you for all the hard work, and I really hope that more people would look to see what they're doing, what's going on behind the scenes, and how you can help yourself, the citizens of Lancaster, to help our seniors through the tough times. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. I don't normally comment on public comment, but I agree. Thank you. Kelly's somewhere in the back. Thank you, Kelly, and to Caitlin. Caitlin, there you are. Thank you very much. All right. Name and address, please.
Amanda Cannon, 5 Oatman Way. So by now everyone knows the situation. And for me, bottom line is a couple of 12-year-old girls were verbally assaulted with a whole team of 12-year-olds standing by, as well as soccer teams and fields full of people, actually. You know, once it happened and we thought about what happened as a school committee rep, literally someone quite literally tasked with representing our children, representing us as families in town, everyone really felt pretty impacted by it. The coach wrote a letter of the account of what happened to Mr. Gleason. Honestly, all of us as parents expected an apology. I mean, that's really what we were looking. We were looking to teach the girls that, you know what, sometimes, like Kendra said, bad days happen. He made a mistake. What he did was wrong. It was inappropriate. He didn't deserve it. But he's apologizing to you. And so the only thing you can do then is, okay, and we move on from it.
1 minute. Let's just say 1 minute.
Okay, that goes by fast.
Wait to see how fast the next one goes.
Okay. Anyway, taking out your adult frustrations of adult issues, traffic problems with a team that the league has never gotten a complaint. So taking out your adult frustrations on children, no matter who you are or what you do or who the kid is, it's not appropriate and it's not right. These girls, okay, quickly I'm going to talk about the girls. These girls are a team full of honor roll students. They volunteer their time at the town's Buddy Ball League on weekends during the spring. They show up to volunteer at veterans events. They're good kids. They're kids that this town should be proud of, and they're kids that this town should really be happy that are representing them, and they deserve more. And I think as elected officials, you know, he should be held to some sort of standard, whatever that may be. I definitely think he's violated a code of conduct. I hope you guys stand behind these girls. They're good kids, and really Lancaster should be proud of them.
Thank you. I gave you an extra 7 seconds because I made a joke in the middle of your thing. Once more into the breach.
Again, Melinda Apgar, 134 Brockman Road. I just wanted to,
welcome.
thank you. I just wanted to finish where I left off.
Right.
The 2 minutes goes fast. So I just want to say again, I feel very strongly that people need to be held accountable for their actions. They need to take responsibility when they choose not to do the right thing for the first time. There need to be consequences for people who choose to make bad decisions. Make no mistake, Mr. Gleason chose to speak this way to young girls and their coaches. Mr. Gleason verbally abused minors. Mr. Gleason failed to exhibit self-control in the presence of school children and their families. Mr. Gleason set an example of himself in front of persons who he is responsible for making great decisions. From my perspective, Mr. Gleason is choosing not to be accountable for his actions nor taking responsibility for his actions. Mr. Gleason appears to show no remorse, and from my understanding, Mr. Gleason hasn't even admitted to doing anything wrong, nor does it appear that he has any intention of apologizing. How the situation is handled by the select board will be very telling for behavior allowances by people in trusted positions in this town. I encourage, I encourage you to take this matter very seriously and take actionable measures to hold Mr. Gleason responsible and accountable for his negative actions. Thank you for allowing me to share my perspective on the situation. I have confidence that you will do the right thing, as this situation will continue to most definitely be dissected by the people of the town. Always remember the old adage, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Thank you.
Do you just want your 28 seconds left, Kendra?
No, I want the 5 minutes, because I need to apologize.
No?
Does anybody else want to talk before I let go? Okay. Kendra Dickinson, 402 Oatman Way, speaking as a private citizen.
Just as a personal privilege moment. How do you live across the street from Mandy and you're 402 and she's 5?
That is a very long story of which I have yet to get a perfected answer, and that shouldn't cut into my time.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah, that was a minute of your time. I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. Let's start
So
now.
I'm going to start now by apologizing. I said that if I were in that position, I would have been doing actions that aren't appropriate. And you know what? That's as easy as it is an apology. Setting an example for our children. Teachable moment. That's all that they asked for. And I think that's what got my craw, is it was a very simple solution, a teachable moment, an apology from a grown man who everybody knows is on the school committee, regardless of what capacity he was acting in, to give the kids present and the parents present, hotheads like myself maybe, an opportunity to learn what not to do and how to properly handle a mistake. A very simple mistake. Sadly, in Lancaster right now, you get crucified for some mistakes. This was one that can just very easily be stifled, apologized for. And what's heartbreaking about is after watching the school committee meeting, there is no intention of that happening in place. And that is a lost teachable moment that in the end, hopefully doesn't long-term impact these wonderful kids that these parents spend so much effort trying to raise in a good capacity. That's what Lancaster's supposed to be about. How much time left?
31 seconds left that time. You've almost got a full minute. I mean, we're not giving it to you, but you almost have it.
I was trying not to take advantage.
Again, Dan Gill, 48 Squire Shirley Lane. Just because I think it's important to put out there what was actually said, rather than just brief it with, it was, as I did before, because of the time constraints, as a flurry of F-bombs. I've done my best to censor it, so if there are children in earshot, throw the earmuffs on. But the statements included, as soon as he got out of the truck, it was, get the F out of my yard. I don't want to see any of you effing a-holes in my yard ever again. This is my effing property, stay the F out. As I started to walk between my team and him, just as a buffer, I told him to relax, that there were kids over here, and to watch his mouth. My words. He screamed back that he didn't give an S who was around, and that we had better stay the F out of his effing yard, or he was going to call the effing police. I then I said, just go back inside, and he responded, you don't tell me what the F to do in my effing yard. At that, I turned around and walked back to my team to try to get them back to practice.
Thank you. You had 55 more seconds if you want.
Who wants to borrow?
All right, well, thank you all. First, we don't tend to comment on public comment, but I will say thank you to the coaches and those who work so hard with the kids, because I know it's not easy. So, thank you for that. Is there anything further? Okay. We appreciate you all coming in.
Thank you.
Next up is not the gazebo, but other really interesting stuff. But we do appreciate you coming in, and we appreciate how hard this has been and can be to come in and speak publicly about this. And we appreciate the people who have communicated directly to us as well. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right, next is administration, budget, and policy. Town administrator review, Mr. Allison.
Yeah, I'd move that we table this till the last item so we can take all the time that we need.
Sounds great. So moved to the last item. Next. I don't think we have time. We just won't take it up now. All right, next item on the agenda is the right of first refusal for the Kalen Farms property on Neck Road. I said at the last meeting that I felt that the owners of the land and the hopefully purchasers of the land deserved an answer one way or the other, and that I didn't see that the town had any interest in purchasing the land, and that I would hope that we could make a decision on a right of first refusal as the select board today. I still hope that we would do that, and I just ask my colleagues if you have any comments, thoughts, questions.
I had talked to you and sat with you and heard you loud and clear at the last minute. So this has been a difficult case for the owners, for the town, for our office, for everybody else. But I was asked to provide a recommendation and background. I did ask Chairman Kerrigan if we could dissect this in greater detail. I know that time's not available tonight, but I would offer my recommendation that in this case, the Board of Selectmen should release our right of first refusal this evening. I am concerned that I am concerned about this recommendation because I do not want it to serve as precedent for future Chapter 61 releases. But there are quite a few extreme circumstances, some confusion and miscommunications, and I think it's in everyone's best interest, as you say, the buyers and the town, to release this now. I think it's worth noting that Chapter 61 is a powerful tool to preserve property that the town and the assessors have managed. It helps balance the community's tax base. It allows landowners a steep reduction in their real estate taxes for non-burdensome uses that the town has embraced, such as farming, recreation, and lumbering, by enrolling in Chapter 61. In return, landowners, including the landowner in question here, knows they must abide by the tenets of the law, which includes recertifying with the assessors annually and providing the town with a certified purchase and sale when they decide to remove the land from chapter status, as well as, and that decision may take up, the town is allowed to take up to 120 days. So that is something that is known. I just have one.
I just wanted to clarify, I don't think the land was in 61A when all this started. It got taken a while ago, right?
It was not, so they've removed, and as a matter of fact, the actual farm also wasn't renewed in 61A. So the reason that you're seeing this is because it's 8 months and after a year.
Well, we had it, as you know, it came to us on our agenda to release our right of first refusal and so on. So that's part of the bigger discussion that we have to have. But in general, and this is what I'm talking about, and I'm concerned about this because everybody's been asking about, are you going to release your right of first refusal or not? I think we're all in agreement that it sounds like we may not even have to. But currently the landowners use the chapter status to allow them to keep the land open for haying, apples, agritament, forest.
But to be very clear, they don't for this land that we're talking about.
I understand this. I'm speaking in general about Chapter 61, right?
Which I totally appreciate, but
and I only have just a little bit
okay,
notes.
because then I want to clarify something.
Just the reason why you did get the right of first refusal because it's within a year. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
So it's been out of it for eight months.
Right. Although the initial packet was that we didn't have.
But it's been out of 61A for 8 months.
And that's
Right, you guys don't get notified on that. That's an assessor's
Yeah.
thing.
I understand. We did get asked to look at this and cede our right of first refusal. So.
Yes.
And then more information came down. In addition, and this is something that Jason asked and asked me to look at, was more about, I think there was some confusion about the way the lots were separated and the planning board actions, and we, at our last meeting, discussed that they would have to go back to in this case, go back to the planning board for this parcel, but that's not the Chapter 61 discussion.
Right, and it's also not our role to send things back to the planning board in this regard.
So bottom line is that many towns and land preservation organizations have advocated for policy that, and we have affirmed it, the municipalities take the full 120 days to assign their rights if a landowner decides to remove chapter land for the reason of selling it.
Right.
With a purchase sale. They can also just remove it, and there's a different process. We, in the past, joined other NWRA towns to take that time, and we've done that very successfully. Most recently, the town assigned the right of first refusal to the field that everybody knows on Deer's Horn Road that was under contract to a developer. That work took 120 days. So, in this case, I guess this is a moot point, but I just want to reaffirm the discussion.
Yeah, and I think had this been firmly still in 61A and not been pulled out 8 months ago, it's a different question entirely. I do think there is definitely a post-mortem that should be done on how we got to this point, but the question that's before us as a board is, do we waive our right of first refusal, or do we execute it?
But what you're saying is you don't waive the right of first refusal because it's not in it. But even though it was on our, so we don't waive our right of first refusal if it wasn't in it.
Understood, but the question that came to us because it's within the year was this. So we get notified because it's within the year of them pulling out of 61A. It's 8 months in that they did. And so they follow that process to notify us, and we get the option. But that doesn't mean we have to take 120 days to do anything.
And the penalty for that, just so you know, is it comes with the attached P&S, and so the penalty for that is 2% of the purchase price.
Yes.
So that's sort of the way that the community recaps what would have been the tax dollars that were not collected because it was in chapter land. So there's a 5-year look back
I
on
do
that.
think I'd like to look at this more carefully because there was a lot of confusion from everybody, including, and I think it got complicated because of the planning issues, but just so we make sure that Chapter 61 works well in town because it is a great tool, both for the town. I mean, I've seen towns use it to take farms for playing fields when the time came up and so on. So, but it's something that we need to look at and make sure we're doing well. But in this case, do we have, I guess the standard question is, do we have to waive our right of first refusal?
Yes.
Yes, we do, because it's within the year.
Correct.
I totally agree with you that we should have an overall conversation about 61A in general and make sure that we are all up to speed on it. The planning department is up to boards on it, and then we're ready to go in case this happens down the line. But the issue before us right now is whether or not to do this. Mr. Allison, do you have any comments or a motion?
So Alex, you were tasked with providing to the board a recommendation. So other than procedurally waiting 120 days, other than a process, is there any other reason this board should wait?
No, my initial line was that the Board of Selectmen should release the right of refusal today, should release a right of first refusal today, and then my caveats followed.
Great, I'm good.
Is there a motion?
I will make a motion to waive a right of first refusal for the Kalon Copley property.
Is the motion satisfactory? Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Mr. Allison?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye.
Mr. Kerrigan, aye. Thank you very much. Next is building, electrical, and plumbing fees update and acceptance. Town Administrator and Building Commissioner Silva, who has been here since the bitter beginning of our...
Seeing him right up there.
There he is. All right, take it away.
Mike Silva began a few months ago, and over the course of the last couple of weeks, probably about a month, we've been looking at the fees that we charge for building permits, and the impetus behind that was that the sub-inspectors, namely plumbing and electrical, had come in, and they generally do work for many municipalities because it's very part-time. And so Lancaster historically has been paying a monthly stipend regardless of the number of inspections that happen. So the idea is that the aggregate amount over the year is enough that if there's months that they only do 2 or 3 inspections, then they're receiving more dollars, but there are months that they're doing, 6, 7, 8 inspections, they're doing less. And that process has sort of gone by the wayside, and a lot of communities are moving to a per inspection. And so that goes back to sort of attracting and retaining qualified persons. And so both of them had come, I guess, prior to and spoken to previous town administrators. They spoke to the previous building inspector. They came to the building commissioner, and Mike kindly set up a meeting between the 4 of us. I heard what they had to say, and then Mike did a whole lot of research, and I had emailed the Mass Municipal Association listserv to ask what other communities do. And so Mike put together this proposal, and it would be great if he could talk to you all about it.
Mike?
Sure. Yep, so we tried hard to, be able to pay the inspectors a little bit more to be fair with what other municipalities are charging. And then, along with that, come up with a fee schedule that isn't going to leave Lancaster with a budget shortfall compared to how it's been operating. And, in essence, that's the fee schedule that we're proposing. And feel confident that that the town will be in about the same position, at the end of the year is in revenues that the town collects compared to what we pay out, and give the inspectors a fair little bump up in pay.
Okay. Board members, any questions? Alex, Jason?
And Mike or Kate, could you go over, it's funny because Steve and I guess have been around long enough that we've seen this go from per inspection in the old days, which is what I gather you're proposing now, back and forth. At the time, the building permits and fees were a large revenue generator. Would it be helpful for the public just to sort of recap basically the impact? Or do you think that that's too complicated?
I don't think so. So the electrical, plumbing, and gas inspectors are independent contractors, so they are not covered by the personnel bylaw. So the rules and regulations relative to those payments don't apply. And so in those cases, we usually have it by contract or memo of agreement. So the electrical inspector would be getting, under this proposal, 70% of the electrical permit fees, which would exclude reinspection fees, with a maximum of $12,500 for commercial projects. They would get 100% of the reinspection fees paid to the inspector. Inspections have to be done within 48 hours, which is a clause that we did not have before, and so we had people calling for inspections that were waiting a week and a half. Emergency inspections are $200 up to 3 hours on site, and alternate electrical inspector would be $75 per inspection. Plumbing and gas inspectors' pay would be 60% for plumbing and gas permits, again excluding reinspection fees, again with a $12,500 maximum for commercial projects. 100% reinspection fees, inspections done within 48 hours, $200 for emergencies for 3 hours on site, and the alternate at $75 per inspection. When we ran the numbers with the 2-year look back in the fees that we had collected, it's budget neutral. What it does is it does take into account more of the inspections that we're doing, and with the raising of the fees that we have without being overly burdensome, we are in line with other communities. We're not higher, we're certainly not lower, and we're able to split that with both the town and the inspectors.
Thank you. Any questions?
So the increase in the fees is essentially, the increase in the fees will be borne by whoever's paying for the fee, but it's going to, as well, budget neutral.
Budget neutral, yes.
Okay.
Not a windfall,
Right.
for sure, for us.
Any other questions? Okay, do you need a vote from us?
Yes, yeah, I would think so.
Is there a motion to approve the new fee structure for?
I'll offer a motion to approve the fee structure as proposed.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Mr.
Aye.
Allison? Aye.
Thank you for all your work on
3-0-0.
this,
Thanks,
Mike.
Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. All right. Next item on the agenda is town meeting day time preference survey results. So many people remember that we did a non-binding survey at the town election, I believe, in May.
Yes,
And we gave plenty of people time to weigh in thereafter.
we had it about a month
Yeah.
after, yeah.
And now we get to hear the survey results. Very exciting. The idea of this, of course, was coming on the heels of several special town meetings on different types of days, to try to get a sense from folks as to when participation would be more appreciated than other times. Again, the idea was raised by my colleague, Mr. Allison, and then executed by the town staff, so well done.
So we had about 230 people participate, and the choices, and I put the metrics in your packet, but the first choice was Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. was 143 persons. The second choice was Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. at 126 persons. The third choice, which was almost tied with the fourth choice between 106 and 108, was Sunday at 10 a.m. or Sunday at 1 p.m. And then coming in as 5th and 6th with 5 votes in between 90 and 95 was Saturday at 10 a.m. and Saturday at 1 p.m. We asked the question, would you be more likely to attend a multi-day meeting? 49 persons said yes, 146 said no, 24 said no preference. Of the ones that said yes, we asked a multi-day option preference. Sunday PM and Monday PM was the highest choice with 27. Are you using or have you used childcare? 23 said yes, 173 said no. And have you attended annual town meeting at 4 out of the past 5 years? 104 said yes, 107 said no.
Okay. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions about the raw data that Kate has for Kate? Jason, it was your idea?
Yeah. So turnout was disappointing.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
It's about the number of people showed up at the annual town meeting.
Actually, I don't think it's that bad, but
So we had a record turnout, almost record turnout on the Saturday town meeting, right?
Yeah.
What was the total count?
It was
My goodness.
1,000.
first one was 1,000 something.
I think it was like, yeah, it was a little more than that.
Yeah.
I think it was like 176.
That had to be driven by the subject, obviously.
Yeah, so
Non-binding data. We can look at it.
yeah.
And data provided by those who
Who chose to,
filled it out.
yeah.
We could always do it again this many months later and then compare the 2 documents and see if the same trends.
So it was very interesting that daycare numbers were so low, where
Yep.
we had a high daycare turnout, if I'm not mistaken, yeah?
We did on that Saturday.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We didn't do any demographic questions of their demographics when answering the question.
We did not.
50-50, did they attend, the people who voted didn't even attend for the last 5 years, 50% of them. But, I mean, the numbers show Monday, Friday, maybe start earlier.
So we knew that. I mean, there were a lot of first-time voters based on just looking at the poll data when people were coming in there. It really invigorated people to vote. But this is a small sampling group. It's not scientific, but it clearly shows weekdays as far as that. We could send it over to the government study if it still exists, but I think it's just to inform.
Yeah.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's a slam dunk for Monday, Friday, but the time of 5 p.m., I mean,
Well, we do have our pre-meetings, if that goes.
I don't think it goes for
Sometimes.
that. I don't think they consider that in answering the questions.
I would just wonder what given that there's an after-school program.
I don't know how we would do it.
I don't know that it's
I'm
practical.
not sure how that would work in that venue.
So it reflects that basically people, at least the majority of people who voted, prefer the way we have done it in years past for annual town meeting.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the data bears.
Yeah.
Monday, 7 p.m. is ideal, though it sounds like we have to find a way to do travel. I don't know how the date, I don't know. All right.
Over the time before
First sets of
our
data.
next annual
First sets
town
of data.
meeting. Yeah.
Hopefully we don't have any
All right.
crazy town meeting.
Next, we have to, so let me pull up my email here, sorry. There we go. Next is open meeting law complaint. Heather Lennon filed complaint against Select Board Chair Stephen Kerrigan. It is now our determination, I believe you have the complaint in your packet. It is now, we have to review the open meeting law complaint submitted to the board, and then we have to, the chair should entertain, we need to entertain a vote whether to refer the complaints to the town council and to authorize us to respond to the board on the board's behalf. So, board members?
Well, we've had a fair amount of open meeting law complaints this year, and that's what we've done, correct?
Yes, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's we have to basically suggest whether or not we think this is actually an open meeting law violation, yes.
Have we done that on the other ones? I thought we just forwarded, we haven't talked about it. I thought they just went, we just forwarded.
Yeah, you've done
Both.
it both ways.
Well, for the record, I have no problem reading aloud what the allegation is.
Well, I mean, open meeting law is pretty straightforward. I don't believe, it is my opinion that the complaint doesn't meet the bar of open meeting law violation. Like if we're talking open meeting law violation, that's all I want to know. I don't see anything in here that's specific to an open meeting law violation. And honestly, I would not want to spend council money over $200 an hour to have that looked at. That's my opinion.
I tend to agree. I think it's a well put together package but I think it is concerns about the process and a resignation and so on, but I don't think it's
Yeah, we're here
about
to-
open meeting
yeah,
law.
we're here to
Yeah.
consider.
I understand that,
yeah.
but you asked the question. So I think it addresses different concerns that should be addressed in a different way. But I don't think there's open meeting law violations in there that I see.
So we do have to, I'm with Jason on not spending as much money on town council, but we do have to respond officially, so we would need to have council just draft a letter, or you draft a letter
Oh,
in
Kate can
response.
draft a letter.
That's what I was just saying to her.
Oh,
I can do
I
that.
think said council.
So, I believe the board needs to instruct her to do so.
Move to authorize Kate Hodges to respond to the open meeting law complaint that the select board does not believe it is, what would be the right term? Warranted or valid or approved? I don't know what the right term is.
Is not an open meeting law
It's not
violation.
an open meeting
violation.
violation. The board does not believe that they're in violation of open meeting law.
Is there a second?
Do we need to say, I don't know what it means that it's against you. Does it mean that the board is not in violation, or are we saying that you as a board member?
The allegation
Steve-
is directly against me.
So the motion I would, if I might amend,
Yeah,
just to.
Don't amend, make a new motion.
Okay. I will
withdraws.
offer a motion not to support the open meeting law violations filed by Heather Lennon against Steve Kerrigan,
And to authorize Kate,
and to authorize Kate to write a note to that effect, response to Heather Lennon.
is that satisfactory?
I think I got it, yeah.
Second.
Okay. I'm going to abstain from voting on this, but I will call the ayes and nays. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, all those abstaining, I abstain. Okay. Next item on the agenda, as I scroll down, is... Scroll. Oh my goodness. All right, next item on the agenda is, we have a resignation from the Government Study Committee, Christine Burke. We thank her for her service. Then we have two appointments, one for Susan Munyon for the Government Study Committee and one for Heidi Leclerc. Is it Heidi or Heidi?
Heidi.
Heidi.
Leclerc. My apologies, Heidi, for the Tax Fairness Committee. So are there motions for the appointments?
I will offer motions for the appointments.
I move to appoint Susan Munyon to the Government Study Committee and Heidi Leclerc to the Tax Fairness Committee. Can that be one motion?
Sure, I think so.
As long as we're done.
Oh,
with
right,
votes. Yeah, as
yeah.
long as they're all in favor, then yes.
Second,
Okay, any discussion
yes.
on a nomination, on appointment? I don't think we do that, actually. I don't know why I even asked for a discussion on it.
I know, gotcha, didn't I?
I don't actually think, I don't think a discussion's in order on an appointment, though.
Why
Okay,
not?
go ahead. Because it's either you appoint them or you don't, there's no nuance to it.
Well, the nuance is that, again, our policies and procedures, I think they both stand, I happen to know both of them, I think they will be great additions
Great.
to the, however, our policies and procedures say that we are supposed to bring people in and talk to them, so, about with their first time on a new committee, so just it would be nice to do that in the future.
I would be on, if it's a select board policy and procedure, I say we amend our policies and procedures.
We can do that too.
To give us an option
will
to do
do
that.
But not during this vote.
Just haven't seen it. I haven't seen that policy.
I haven't either.
I think
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I can send it to you. Aye.
Aye. Congratulations on your appointments, thank you. Licenses and permits. We have some licenses and permits. Madam Clerk, will you read through the license and
Certainly.
permit applications,
Would
please?
you like me to read through all of them and approve them en masse, or one by one?
I don't have an objection to any of them. Mr. Allison, would you be okay if she read through all and then we voted approval or disapproval en masse?
Just to check in to see if I had any
Well, let me
issue.
do 4-H first, how's
You
that?
start talking.
I'm good with all of them.
Great.
Okay. I would offer a motion to approve the application for use of the town gazebo, Town Green, Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, from 6:45 to 9, for the tree lighting sponsored by Lancaster 4-H. Likewise, I would offer for the use of the Town Hall Auditorium, November 29th to December 3rd, for Lancaster Festival of Trees, Lancaster 4-H. To approve the use of the Town Hall and Gazebo, Sunday, March 12th.
Town gazebo and town green.
Excuse me, Town Gazebo, Town Green, Sunday, March 12th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 10:30 for Lancaster Easter egg hunt, sponsored by Lancaster 4-H.
Before we move on, 4-H clearly is clearing the decks of all their applications, so we appreciate them doing it all at once. Keep
All
going.
right, so those are the 4-H applications, there you go.
Yeah, keep going.
Want me to do the other one, all right?
Yep.
I would offer, include a motion for the special one-day liquor license, beer and wine, Sunday, October 29th, 2023, 4 to 6.
4 to 8.
I'm sorry, 4 to 8 for
Halloween.
Halloween on the Green.
Okay. Is
Okay.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Kate, was that enough?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes all around, 300. Congratulations, you all have your permits. Next, Select Board will next meet Monday, although we still are going back to the Town Administrator Review. Next meet Monday, November 6th, 2023 at 6 p.m. and November 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Now we are returning to a previous item on the agenda, which is the Town Administrator Review. Mr. Allison.
Yeah, one sec before we do that, I just want to think about something quick. Do we have new business on there?
We do not. If you wish to bring something up, we certainly can if you'd
Not.
like. We cannot, I suppose. Well, we have miscellaneous correspondence and memorandum. If you write something down on a sheet of paper, that's a miscellaneous correspondence.
Sorry, I'm just not always that good on the spot.
Do we
All
want
right,
to
well-
put new business on for?
Well, let's, so
later?
while he's thinking about it, how are you guys doing? Yeah? Good, I'm glad. I appreciate that. It's nice to see you both, looking sharp in your uniform and sweatshirt.
And the ladies in the
Good.
back.
Everything going well back there? I stopped by to see you earlier in the week, dropped off that nice walker,
Thank you very much.
and we have that scooter coming your way.
It's like a Cadillac scooter.
Oh, it is a really nice scooter. My father did not skimp on scooter. He only rode it twice, but it's a nice scooter. It is not, no. But it is battery operated. We do care about the environment, Michael, thank you. Yeah.
Would this be inappropriate to finish up the government study or the master plan discussion now?
I felt like we were done with the government study one, but maybe we're not. Master plan, we could definitely, my view on us having a representative of the master planning committee has not changed. Mr. Allison, has your view changed?
No.
Okay. Has your view changed?
No.
All right, well, I had to
I
ask.
do think yes.
All right, so
I'm ready.
we can clear that up,
New
so.
business- oh, wait.
Well, hold on. Would we entertain a motion on whether or not to include a select board member on the master planning committee? So then you make a motion to not include.
Oh, I'd like to.
I was going to make a motion to do
not-
it, and then you'd have to vote against me again,
So let's just
and that
do
just gets so
one
tedious.
Sorry, my mind is in a different place.
That's
I'd like to
quite
make a
a-
motion to not include a
Select board representative on the master
select
planning
on
committee.
the master plan committee.
I'll second that. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay?
Okay. 2-1-0. that resolves that. Did you think we still had more to do, and I may have totally missed it on government study? I felt like I was going to take time to talk to some members and then report back at the next meeting, is that?
That's what, I have it
That's
as
what
a
I
next
thought.
agenda item, and Government Studies Committee, further review, and then the Select Board appointee confirmation, since
Yes.
it seems to be in dispute.
Well, not in dispute, he just may want
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you're going to talk to, in fairness, all the members of the committee, right?
I'm going to talk to a number of folks, yeah. Put both on the committee and not.
Should we all do that too? I mean, what is the?
You're welcome to speak to people if you'd like.
Okay.
You're elected just like I was. All right. Anything else on that? All right, now, okay, still haven't said anything to Mandy.
New business.
Okay, great.
Based on new information today, I would like to offer a motion for the select board to endorse and express its gratitude to the entire Lancaster's Girls Softball League, its coaches and players, for being leaders in Lancaster, for which we can all value and look up to.
That sounds great. Was that a motion?
Sir?
I would second that. Any discussion?
You want me to repeat it?
No, I understand it, and I think that they did a good job tonight advocating for the students, the athletes, and every night.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you for drafting that. I'm assuming while I was talking to Everett and Mike.
Perfect, thank you.
Great.
While you were
Fantastic.
dancing.
Now can we, the
Yes.
woman's on pins and needles. Now can we get to the town administrator?
Yes, I'm
Just
ready.
writing down the last.
Okay, last item.
We're gonna table it till the next one. No.
Is the town administrator review. So y'all received a copy today. I sent it out today.
Yes.
Just to best to avoid an open meeting law complaint. It is a way that other folks do it. Other towns have done it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I want to quickly look at a couple items. So there's two parts. There's the numeric rating, which is super awesome, and then there's the narrative. I got to tell you how apropos the timing of this is. So I'm going to try to compose myself here. Numeric rating is on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being poor and 5 being perfect. We gave Kate a rating of 241 out of possible 250 points for a total rating of 4.82 out of 5. That is the cumulative rating for her performance. Just to kind of touch on some of her greatest strengths: professionalism, financial management, aptitude, her desire to be great, and her desire to empower those around her. Part of the review had, what performance areas would you identify as most critical for their improvement? I'm just going to read the first paragraph and continue to try to compose myself. While a Lancaster-created problem, it is the board's opinion that the most critical area for Kate as Lancaster's town administrator is her continued successful navigation of Lancaster's tiny population of mean people. So that is the area that I guess not just Kate has to deal with, but that is a critical area that we need to continue to empower Kate with and do our best as a board to navigate. The last sentence reads, it's this board's desperate plea to Kate that she continues to love all of Lancaster, our warts and all. So what do you believe is the greatest accomplishments for the town administrator for this rating period? Navigating a divisive town culture to pass a much-needed override with which ensured adequate funding for town services for all residents. Navigating a divisive town culture to pass an enterprise 40-hour rezone of the North Lancaster development opportunity, which positions Lancaster's future fiscal stability. Invest and transform the culture of each Lancaster department to ensure the utmost professionalism. And the last greatest accomplishment is persevere a 3-member select board, which does not unanimously support her. Next is for goals for next year. from the town development, and we can talk about these as a board. Number 1 is the DKM property. 2, North Lancaster 40R. 3, Government Study Committee. 4, Tax Fairness Committee. From an administrative perspective, you all had an opportunity to review these, and this is maybe more from, Kate's purview, which is prioritization. We can't do everything every resident wants every day, all day. Delegation, Kate's done an amazing job of raising up her staff and their expectations. Now's the time to ask more of them. Authority, the message here is that Kate has earned the board's trust in her approach and management of key town initiatives. And 4, coaching mentoring. It's the board's opinion that the town tenure over the next 12 months may be the hardest in Kate's short tenure. So it's really not going to be about continuing to survive, but also empowering her staff and everybody to help deal with this. I think I called it 20 people in town, 0.2% of the population. That's really creating a lot of unfortunate malcontent in town. So that is the spirit. I'll read the conclusion. In conclusion, it's the opinion of the board that Kate Hodges is the perfect town administrator for Lancaster. Kate has all of the skills and traits necessary to bring Lancaster out from its current financial woes and into a prosperous and affordable community for all. While the board believes the next 12 months will be hard, they also believe it will be the final 12 months of resident and board committee malcontent. This timing is due to the fact that culture change within organizations takes approximately 2 years, and the timing for Lancaster and Kate's tenure matches up. It's the board's opinion that Kate has been the right change agent in Lancaster, and she has the select board's collective support going forward. It's also the board's desire to retain Kate as long as she will have us. That's what I got. So I will open it up for comments, questions, and feedback.
First, before you do, I think it speaks well to Kate as a leader that some of the lead staff that directly report to her have taken their time to be here with us this evening, so thank you all. Discussion.
And congratulations, Kate, and Jason, I think you did a great job summarizing. The part that I didn't add in was, or focus on, was say, our goals and Kate's goals. And I think that I see everything that was discussed, the DCAM and the 40R and so on, as high priorities and right in line with what we've talked about. However, I see our bigger overarching goals, and maybe these are perhaps better addressed as we're supposed to have board goals, which we haven't, but how we can't help direct Kate. We have individual, what I would call objectives, the DCAM and the 40R and so on. And I think the overarching goals would be to continue to improve efficiencies in budgeting, to try to keep our budget find as many cost savings as possible, and employee retention to reduce turnover and continue to that. And we had some discussions, you mentioned it, or in the summary, there was lots of discussion about the toxicity and the division in town, and we all ran on that, and it's been mentioned on social media and so on. So to develop tools and a campaign and to figure out ways to help to reduce the toxicity and the division and help build community.
So I will say a couple things. First, I don't think there's a way to do better when it comes to finding efficiencies in the budget than Kate has done. First, thank you for this, I thought, a very thoughtful process. And I appreciate the work you did to develop the process and then keep us on track and then summarize our findings. I couldn't disagree more on the efficiencies in budget. I think Kate always finds ways to find more efficiencies, and I'm sure she will.
I'm not saying she doesn't.
I let you go, so I'm going to go.
Just saying that's a goal.
Employee retention, I think Kate has done a fantastic job of inspiring her team both direct reports and those who report to direct reports around a larger cause and a greater good. Sometimes that, some folks, despite that, for their own personal or professional decisions, have chosen to move on. I don't believe that's a reflection on Kate as a leader. I think it's more a reflection on the 20 people, which that's my one concern with your report. I don't think it's 20. I think it's probably closer to like 12 or 15 people. But be that as it may, I've led organizations through tough times. Kate is leading us expertly through difficult times, and some of the biggest part of that is inspiring folks when you yourself are feeling less than inspired, and I think Kate has done that incredibly well. I don't, however, think it's Kate's job to find ways to develop ways to eliminate toxicity in town. Her job is to do the job we've asked her to do and to run a fantastic team, and I think she's doing that. I think that's on us, and by the way, I would put it on the citizens. We all owe a responsibility to each other and to our families and our neighbors and the businesses in town to find a way to reduce toxicity in this town. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I don't suspect, if you're not already working on it right now, after all the times we've talked about it, I don't suspect you're going to change and start working on it after you hear me tonight. I hope that you do, and I hope that folks look at the fantastic work, whether you agree with how a meeting gets run or something, a process piece or not. The end result, I hope folks look at it and see how much further the town is along, despite the fact that not everybody's wishing for success or rowing in the same direction. And I think coming into a community that was already divided, although turns out by not very even sides, which I tell you all the time. I tell there's 15 or so people, sometimes as low as 8, but there's 8,400 people that have great confidence in the leadership that Kate exudes and exemplifies every day on the job. And this review reflects that. I hope you feel that it reflects that. And I will echo the sentiment of the conclusion, which was we hope you'll have us as long as you're willing. We hope to be hosting a retirement party for Kate in this very room many, many, many years to come.
Package deal.
It's package. Oh yeah, package deal, folks. Package deal.
It's a wonderful review, and the goals.
This is the one you gotta keep.
So,
It's a wonderful.
You went on your reflections. I went on mine.
it's so interesting timing this meeting in the public comment. I struggle a lot. I'm vehemently opposed to legislating like moral behavior. Moral, maybe not that. I mean, that's not the right word. Certainly not ethical. You can't legislate mean and nice. You can't do it. And Steve, your feedback influenced one of these sentences, and here I want to read it. It's just important to me. You influencing me, actually in a positive way, if you can believe that.
I do believe that. You don't believe it, but
So the board's feedback here is not meant to normalize the unruly residents' behavior, nor is it meant to minimize just how hard it is to tune out nasty, unprofessional, downright unethical, and immoral behavior from residents and elected officials. However, at this point in time in our society, these vile voices exist and are an unfortunate byproduct of having the most amazing democratic form of government in the history of humankind. So as much as I would love to fire all the mean people or whatever, it's not our government. And all the voices are equal, and I wish we had less nasty voices, but that's where we are. So, that's why, Alex, to your point, you made a comment about retaining talent. So that's in the coaching and mentoring section. I'm going to be a little repetitive here. The message here is that while all of us would love to live in a country devoid of mean people, it's simply not the case. If Lancaster staff is not adequately positioned for this environment, the board is fearful Lancaster will continue to lose valuable town staff and needed board committee volunteers. That message I spent a lot of time on because it's not just directed at the board here, it's directed at the residents. Where's that L? We will lose valuable staff if we cannot figure out a way to show our appreciation for them. They will go to other towns. I can tell you right now that some of our staff take less money to be here than they could be at other towns. So I'd encourage every resident to respectfully disagree. Healthy discourse is all right, but tone down you know that word.
Anger?
Vitriol, yes.
So,
Anything else?
yes, so Steve, as I mentioned, these, I preface these with, these are goals, broad-based goals, and I started this with saying our board owes to Kate, and we have looked at goals and objectives. These were larger, and these aren't criticisms. A goal doesn't mean it's a deficiency. When your response sounded very much to me like it was a criticism. These are, and you jump, and people do jump to that when they say things, but saying efficiencies in budgeting, we all said that there was great improvement in that. So that doesn't mean that. It's, we need to find continued efficiencies in budgets because people have talked about the tax burden and being such a strain on people. So, trying to find that. The retention and reducing turnover speaks to what Jason said, and other, there's many other strategies and objectives to get there. And to reducing the toxicity and build community, I agree with you, it's less on Kate than it is on our board as a whole, but I do think it belongs to us.
And on everybody else.
And the community as a whole, but I think it belongs to everybody. But we're leaders, we need to lead by example too. So, that was it.
Yeah. I mean, I would suggest that at least I think this board attempts to lead by example when it comes to reducing toxicity, but go ahead.
So procedurally, what we will do is we will choose to either approve or not approve, endorse this evaluation. That would then in turn go to Kate for her review, and I believe she gets an opportunity to provide feedback, have a conversation, whatever she would like to do in that instance, and go from there.
Okay.
I can give you my statement now. It isn't.
Why don't you?
We have to decide whether or not we may change it.
Please feel free.
Yeah. All right.
I would like to make I can make the motion. I'll make a motion to endorse the Town of Lancaster Town Administrator evaluation from the Select Board for the 2023 TA Performance Review.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Do you have any further discussion? No. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 You're welcome to make a statement, but you haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Just that I appreciate the opportunity, and I will read it in depth and have something else, but just, I didn't know that's why you guys were here, so thank you. I think, if nothing else, it's good to have our own little community of people to lean on, and some personalities take it much easier, and some don't, but I think that empathy is a big thing. So when they're hurt, I'm hurt, but we have a lot of laughs, we do a lot of good things, and the people who work for this town are just really talented and really passionate. So I hope they stay, and I hope we attract more upon retirements, except for the chief's retirement because he's not allowed to retire.
I will add one more item to new business, which is just to say thank you. All right, that having been done, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.